afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of Wellness Wednesday. Today I am going to be addressing a question that I get asked a lot, and that is, what should I look for when I buy a yoga mat? So right out of the gate I want to say that I'm talking about people who are looking for a yoga mat for yoga. A lot of people use yoga mats for just general exercise, and that's great too, but when you're looking for one for yoga, there are a few things that you need to consider. Number one, if you are someone who really likes a cushy mat, you're going to be tempted to buy one of those nice thick mats. I know Stop Pilates and Marathu both make some really nice ones, but those are made for Pilates, and in Pilates you're doing a lot of mat work. So you're going to be laying on that mat almost the entire, if not the entire time you're practicing. So you want to have a little extra cushion for your back. The problem with that when you use it for yoga is when you start trying to do a downward dog or any type of standing movements, warrior two, those mats start to stretch and get longer and longer and longer, which makes it a little bit hard for you to maintain your pose and not have to keep adjusting yourself and your foot placement on the mat as it grows longer and longer. So those mats are great for Pilates. They're also great for just general fitness classes, like a strength training class. They can be really great for that. But when it comes to yoga, they're not usually your best option. What I usually tell people to do is to go to Winners, or if you're in the US, you can go to Marshall's. It's the same type of store. They often have a good selection of mats, so you can see the different widths and thicknesses. I have oodles of mats, but these are my two favorite ones, and I want to talk a little bit about each of them because I use them for different circumstances. For my everyday yoga practice, I use this mat, which you can see is fairly thin. I did measure it, and it is a 4mm mat, and it is a Lululemon mat. I'm not exactly sure what the name of this specific mat is, but I went on their website and they have one out right now that is called the Namaste mat, and it looks identical to this one. So I'm going to guess that it was either a previous iteration of that or that they've renamed it. What I like about it is it's really grippy on one side, the other side is smooth, and it didn't take a lot of breaking in to get this to be sticky. When you first get a yoga mat, you kind of slip and slide around on it a little bit until you break it in, and there wasn't a whole lot of that with this mat. It is very thin, 4mm, so it doesn't have a lot of cushion. So if you're someone who needs extra cushion when you're on your hands and knees or in down dog or laying flat, this might not be the mat for you. If you are looking for a mat that is nice and sticky and is going to help you stay in place and you don't need a whole lot of cushion, by far my favorite. My second favorite mat is one that I got from Lole. It is called the Glo Mat, and this is it here. It's yellow on one side, it's gray on the other. And I looked this one up as well. When I purchased it, the Glo Mat was 6mm thick. It looks like now the mats that they sell as the Glo Mat is only 5mm thick, so a little bit thinner than this one. But I really like this one for when I'm doing more restorative yoga, with things where I am going to be on my back a lot of the time. And I also like to take this when I go to yoga trainings because we are sitting on our mats for 8 or 10 hours and it gets a little bit tiresome, and having that extra cushion really makes a big difference. This is not a sticky mat, so this mat I would not use for hot yoga. I wouldn't use for anything where I needed to have a lot of grip, but for your general enthusiast, new to yoga, who probably wants a little bit of extra cushion, a mat like the Glo is a great option. The important thing is not the actual specific mat or brand that I'm recommending, but the thickness. The thickness is what really is going to make a difference for you. If you need a little bit more cushion, go for a 6, 7, or even an 8mm thick mat. Yoga mats should all say on it how thick they are. If you're needing a little bit less, the standard yoga mats tend to be around 4 or 5mm. Those are the ones that you can get just about anywhere, Walmart, Target, anywhere at all. And those ones are going to be great for people who don't have any specific requirements for cushiness or stickiness or anything like that. So those are my two big tips. If you are just your average yogi or fitness person and you're looking for a new mat, you don't want one of those ones that's super thick because they tend to stretch. You want one that's probably 5 to 8mm thick, and if you're looking for one that has a lot of traction, that's a little bit stickier, go for a thinner mat, maybe a 3mm or 4mm mat. That is it for today's episode of Wellness Wednesday. I hope you found it useful, and I will talk to you again soon.